Hello, I am Bentham. Welcome back to Factorio Railworld. In the previous episode, we were working on a new oil train 3 up in the north. And today, what we need to go and do is actually check how things are going back at the oil base now that it's being supplied a bit better. So we'll take the plastic train over. This thing's looking very weird now. All these little bits sticking out of the rail lines everywhere. So we'll go over and here are the trains. And I think this one just happens to be oil train 3. So I decided to hop on board. And we'll just check up on the oil stuff later, because I need to go back over to oil outpost 3 and finish off something that I missed. I didn't realise until after the episode, but I actually forgot to connect up some of the pump jacks to the power system, so I'm going to go do that now. And what I try and do is get the whole thing done in the time it takes for the train to load up and unload, so I'm just rushing through it and plonking stuff down, and it's gone, so let's actually do it properly now. I think one of them might not have even been hooked up anyway. But there we go, we'll put it in properly and we'll make more efficient use of our materials. The random tree there. And then I'd stop and wait for the train to turn up, and then I think, no, that's a terrible idea because I'm just sort of sat around here looking at things. So what I decided to do is finish off something else that I forgot to do a while back, which is to put in some radars. I was in the middle of putting in a new row of radars on the top of our current grid. After I put in the new crossing line between Iron Outpost 2 and Copper Outpost 3, and I completely got sidetracked and didn't finish it off. So let's put in another one over here. There's not enough room for the full two, so there's going to be a corner missing off our square, but it's not really important. But as it turns out, the particular place we need to put it is right by where there's a power pole, so I'll just hook it up directly to the main grid, and it'll always be on. Which is nice, because it means that we have like our two main outposts that are far away from the main base, both have some round-the-clock radar coverage, which makes sense because you want to pay more attention to what's going on in them. So anyway, I decided to plonk some lights around. I haven't done that yet, and I just switched from from having night vision goggles to not, and realised that I couldn't see a thing, so we'll sort that out. Now it's all nice and illuminated, and I have a quick inspection of how things are loading, and I found that it seems like the inserters are loading pretty much constantly into the chest, but when this train arrives I see it fills up entirely, which is a good sign. Interestingly enough, the rear cargo wagon is empty while the front one isn't. The only problem is that the next train turns up almost immediately after and very quickly uses up everything in the chest, so what I need to do is change the spacing. So I'm watching the radar here to see when the train arrives. I lose track of which one's which, but I can tell once one actually arrives in the copper station, so I get the train to set off once again and get the settings right again, and hopefully now they will be synchronized. I think they both have the same timetable, so the intention is that one should be in the circuit outpost while one is in copper outpost 3. There will be stuff that interferes with it. There'll be bits where one train has to wait for something and it'll mess up, but I've at least improved it for a temporary time. So anyway, we're going to put in a new row of radars above the current one as well, and after plugging down the radar like right on the edge of the land, I do a quick check of, I stick some solar panels on them and get it to do some scanning so that I can work out if it actually covers the area, and it doesn't. We have to move it across a bit, and the only way we can do that is by putting it on an island, and that's quite fun, so I'm quite happy with that. So there we go, the radar is now on an island and cannot be touched by biters. Admittedly, spitters could get to it, but none will come this far anyway, I imagine. And so we've managed to keep it in with the grid system. And now we'll move on to the next one. You also see that the little radar that I put up on that jutting out island to the northeast, that actually lines up fairly well with the grid in one way anyway. It needs to be moved. I say it needs to be moved sideways a bit, but I'm not going to move it sideways. I'll probably just stick an extra radar in and have some overlap, because it's good that one's scanning as far out as it can. But anyway, we're moving on to the next one. I consider hooking this one up to the power grid because we're near to the rail line to the north, but I changed my mind because this is just in the middle of the wilderness. There's no point having it running all the time. I just need it to be running enough that, well, with the daytime it means it's running most of the time, and then as the sun rises my night vision goggles switch off and you can't see a thing. But anyway, we're moving to the final bit, the top right corner of the current covered area, and there we go. We've got a new row of, I think we've got another 5 radars now. We've extended things up a bit more. I'd like to extend it all the way up to cover the oil outpost, but I'm going to do that some other time. So anyway, I've hopped on board Iron Train 2, and then I hop out again and get hit by it because I realise that there's quite a few mining drills that have run out, so it looks like it's time for a bit of maintenance. Things have moved up quite along now, considering, like, originally the wall to the left was, I think, like right on the edge of the deposit, and now there's a big gap. So really, we could just get rid of some of this and move the wall up, but I can't be bothered really. So what I do is move on the one remaining mining drill around, so I can get rid of this belt here and clean things up nicely. So we can move that away and get that just going into a nice normal corner. And I put a few more blue belts and things. So it looks like things could be running faster. And after a quick check of things, it looks like quite a few of the mine drills are running. There's quite a few that aren't, but I decided to put in a new row anyway. I feel like we could do with just like 4 more mining drills, but if I'm going to add any more on, then I'm going to add on a whole row with 2 sides, because why not? And it means that the outpost won't need any maintenance doing for a while again. And there I am, sticking a splitter that leads immediately into a splitter. Whatever, I don't care. I've got plenty of materials. If anything, I want to use up more materials, because it means the factory runs better. But anyway, we'll put in this other side as well. While I can't remember how the spacing was. I think the spacing worked out perfectly on the left side, but on the right side it was a bit more compressed, which was a shame. I like to have things balanced nicely and stuff. But anyway, we get all that in place, and then we can put in the substations. I think we need 2 just to cover everything. And then we'll put in millions of efficiency modules, use up pretty much our entire supply, bar I think 9. And I decided to put a little gate in here as well, just so we can get in and out a bit easier, because we're having to go right over to the left and then back again to get in, and the bit that we're mining has moved now, so it makes some sense. But anyway, I start waiting for the iron train. Eventually it turns up, and then we can hop on board. This is the one going to Iron Outpost 2, because I think we have, not Iron Outpost 2, I mean the main base, Iron 2. I think we have 2 trains going to each of the iron outposts, and then both of those go to each of the main bases to sort of balance it, and so it makes a nice pattern if you visualize it. But anyway, we're back over to the main base. I mean, I do a quick checkup of the smelters. It's a sorry sight. Still, there's like barely half a dozen furnaces of each kind running, which is quite sad. But anyway, there's a lot of bots resupplying me. So I just sort of stand around for a while they all go crazy, flying in crazy directions. And then I go over to the modules, because it looks like we don't have our full supply, and it's because we've actually used up the supply of level 1 modules, and they've had to... it's just emptied out entirely, and we're going to have to wait for some more to be crafted, which is nice. But anyway, I had a little bit of ore hanging around, so I just stuck some of that into the furnace, and then we're going to hop back on board the oil train once again, so that we can actually go check up on things. In the end, I didn't actually look at how things were running in the iron outpost, so we'll just make our way over here, and we will park up. And what I'm going to do is go over to this bit, and I'm going to put in a signal here, because I realised last episode there was no point in not having it, and it means that all 3 of the oil trains can fit in nicely. And then checking up on the storage tank for crude oil, I find that it's not filling up, which is a shame. And I guess oil outpost 3 just isn't good enough to keep up the supply. So there is a little bit of a boost after it arrives, because all the refineries switch on and then fill up as well, which helps. But what I decided to do is put in some extra barrels. So I put in I think 5 of them before it runs off, and I don't have time to put in another one. And then what I'm doing here with oil trains 1 and 2 is extending the time that they stay in their outposts to minutes instead of 20 seconds. Because there's no point in them coming back every 20 seconds when there's barely any oil being produced now, and it'll clear things up a bit. There'll be a bit less congestion in the system, and so on. So what do we do now? We have another quick look at things, and then here comes the oil train 3 once again, and I stick in a couple more of the barrels, and then in order to let them all fill up properly, I extend the time just a little bit from 20 seconds to 30. I don't know if it needed to be that much, and maybe I should have put in even more barrels, because I'm pretty sure the outpost has the capacity right now. But whatever, we'll just leave it for now. So I've disconnected a couple of the cracking plants to make sure that the different fractions stay nicely even. And that should be it. I'll leave things for a bit, see how they develop. Hopefully the crude oil tank will fill up. If it doesn't, we'll have to see about putting either more barrels into that train or having yet another oil train. It would probably be a good idea to have oil coming from multiple sources, because of course if you have it all relying on one, then that one will run out all at once at some point. Well, not exactly, but you know what I mean, ish. The tank on that end will run down, and then suddenly it will be empty at some point, and not being filled up anymore. Anyway, I'll go and check up on the production of walls, and it looks like even after all this time we've still not fully crafted a chest full of walls, and I've still not got any stone bricks on me. I've set it up now so that the logistics delivers some to me, so I'll probably get one every like 5 minutes when the bot manages to grab it before it gets taken to be turned into walls. But anyway, what I'm now going to do is a new little system. Basically, I'm fed up of how things have been going in the main base. It's just been dead. It's been a ghost town, producing barely anything. There's been some modules, and that's pretty much it. So what I'm going to do today is change that, because of course the entire problem was caused by science shutting down. We ran out of things to research, and there was no science to be made anymore, and that's the main job of this base. So what I'm going to do today is make some new science consumption. It's not going to be going into research, of course, because there's none left. It's just going to go into some chests. So I get it all set up. I get the conveyor belts going in, stick a bit of light in, and then we'll put down the power pole, and there it goes, with a rate of however fast an inserter inserts. And what this means is that the science production exists again, and even more than that, it's actually faster than it's ever been before, I'm pretty sure. I think usually it takes 30 seconds to do it. I don't know, actually, because an inserter is roughly once per second as far as I can see. And I think that basically it's faster than the normal science, which is cool. So anyway, everything's kicking in, and I go over to the smelters to see what's going on. Already you can see there's a few more running than usual, and it's pretty cool, really, because after all this time, you know, with the science just stopping and the main base just sort of dying, really, it's, you know, we're finally changing that. I'm fed up of not having anything to produce. I need reason to go out and build these new ore outposts. So I need the ore to be consumed and so on. So I've started this up, and you know, there's no point to it. But then, what point was there to researching half of what I was doing at the end of the series? I was just researching a bunch of follower robot counts that I never used most of, but no more. So anyway, what we find is that there's not enough production of green science anymore. So it's definitely running faster than usual, because it's run down, or it's starting to run down. It's run down past the last assembler, which is how you know that there's not enough supply. So we stick in 2 more assemblers for this, bringing the number up to 6. 4 should still be enough for red science, and then I go and realise that the inserter production is actually not enough anymore. So I have to add it. I have to speed things up a little bit there. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to speed them up any more than they've been sped up now, because I need another fast and long-armed inserter. But anyway, going up over to the blue science, I find that that's actually running down as well. So we need to add in another 2 assemblers on here, bringing the count up to 10 for blue science. And this is just so cool, because this is stuff I haven't done in ages. You know, the factory used to be what it was about. You like, something would run down, and you'd track down why, and you'd fix it, and then you'd track down something else, and then you'd increase the consumption and do it all over again. That was the cool thing. It was like troubleshooting the system was really fun, because you could find ways to just overclock it a little bit more and get the balance right. But anyway, we've filled up nearly 2 full stacks of each science pack already, and I'm just sort of running around checking everything's running nicely. And I've got a couple of science packs I accidentally picked up. Going over to battery production, it looks like it's down to, well, we've got at least 4 and nearly the 5th chemical plant running at the same time. So I decided to stick another one in, because of course there are other things that use batteries as well. And if the science is using up nearly all the battery production, we want to make sure that it's going quick enough to deal with that, and some extra stuff as well. So we stick in a 6th chemical plant for that. And I've got a couple of engines there that need unloading. I don't notice it while I'm playing. I noticed it looking back, but the belts are actually running down slowly for the green science, so that's going to become a problem, and we'll need to fix that at some point. But yeah, there we go. The science is running, not in quite the way it's supposed to, but it means that my factory has a purpose again. And look at this, nearly half of the iron smelters are running, and I think like a third of the copper smelters. This is what I wanted. This, you know, it's alive. It's awesome. So anyway, I'm just sort of checking up on the trains and stuff, and I decided to run over to Iron Outpost 1. I hop in the train, but then change my mind because I realised I haven't been and done some maintenance over here in quite a while. So it looks like there's a couple more mining drills run out. Like there's some on the end of each of these columns, and what this means now is that all of the remaining mining drill columns are vertical. Previously there were some horizontal ones before I switched, so now I can actually sort of rejig the design. There's not stuff in the way anymore, so I start moving around some of the power poles. There's a lot that are completely pointless now, and I can just get rid of them. And I get rid of the turrets as well, because biters are not going to get this far now. There's just too much stuff in the way. Though I guess they could come from the south maybe, but that's not happened in a million years. The only biter attacks I've had for a very, very long time have been to Iron Outpost 2, and that's got enough defences. And that's the other end of the map, really. So anyway, what I'm doing is completely changing the infrastructure that we've got going here, because with all the different changes that have happened, we don't need them to do all these corners anymore. They can just go straight there. So I'm just sort of cleaning it up and making it look a lot nicer and neater. And the belts are all nice and full of ore, and which is a good sign. It shows that all the mine drills are running, though of course the ore consumption will be increasing back at the main base, so we want to make sure that everything is running fine here. So I'm just putting in a couple of blue belts in places, and then I decided to put in a new column. So this one's not so big as the one I was putting in Iron Outpost 2, of course, because I switched from the horizontal to the vertical lines after sort of thinning out the outpost a bit. So I think that there's something like a dozen new mining drills here, and we just get all the positioning right. We put in all the belts and everything, of course, and then we can connect it up to the rest of the system. I don't know what I was doing there, just was sort of walking up and down. So there we go. We're gonna move things about a bit. We're gonna have the belts converging like we do in which outpost is it? Copper Outpost. I guess they all do a bit of merging to some degree or another. But there we go, and eventually they all converge onto two blue belts there, which is how much you need to keep this going. What with two trains running, and both of them delivering fairly nearby. They both, like, one of them goes to the main base, one of them goes to the circuit base, so you know that they don't have far to go, which means they spend a lot of their time being loaded up. And also I think it takes twice as long to load as to unload, because of the way I've set it up. Actually no, it does at the main base, but not at the circuit base, because of the way I've set it up there. I'm wondering if the iron ore is going to be enough for the circuit outpost, particularly now that we've increased science. There will be more circuit production, so the circuit factory will have to work a bit harder too. But anyway, you can see that all the belts are filled up nicely, and I'm happy with that. So let's move on to the next thing. We'll go over to the just check up on the circuits. It does seem like they're running quicker. Of course, a lot of circuits go into science, and then suddenly we have an attack over in Iron Outpost 2, which is the first time in a while, and something actually blows up as well. Conveniently, the train to Iron Outpost 2 is here right now, so I can just hop on board and take it there instead of taking the private train. And it's interesting that they've attacked, especially considering that I've just started all this. It's like it's in retaliation to the base waking up. They've seen that, you know, things are moving again, and they're not happy with it, so they've come to I guess threaten me and whatever. I mean, it's probably just random, but it's funny how much the biter attacks coincide with things that I do that cause more general pollution. I don't know exactly how the biter aggro works. It could entirely be chance, but whatever. Occasionally we have an attack for no reason. But anyway, I decided to reinforce things here. There was like one little turret in the corner, and that was pretty much it, defending that area, so no wonder it failed. So I've stuck in another two conventional turrets and two laser turrets as well, and hooked it up to the power. And while we're here, let's plonk some lights down, just because it's a bit dark and I can't see a thing. And we'll run around the rest of the outpost as well. You know, the iron outpost, both the iron outposts have been around for so long now. I want to build a new one, because it's been, you know, we're just slowly working our way through these, and we're not getting anywhere. And you know, I want more reason to build more trains. I might just build a third iron outpost anyway, because it's just fun having extra trains in the system. I don't know where it would go to though, because all the stations are already taken to some degree or another. But anyway, we're back at the main base, and look, there's even more furnaces running now. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. This was a good decision, even though we're not actually doing anything. We're just putting stuff in boxes. It's cool that we've got this all upgraded, and you can see there's like a good 10 stacks or so on. But unfortunately, what has now happened is the alien science has run down. Since we put it in, basically, the alien science has been running only just quick enough to run the research. And now that we're using this new system, which hoovers it up a fair bit quicker, we've got a bit of a problem, really. We don't have enough alien science production anymore, and what we're going to have to do is make another assembler. What I could do is take out the productivity modules, but no, I can't be bothered going out and killing biters every 5 minutes to get all of the alien artifacts, so I'm going to keep using productivity modules, and I'm going to have 2 of them with 4 level 3 productivity modules in them, so that it should be enough to keep it running again. But anyway, I was just standing around there waiting for it to finish off what it was processing, and then we'll put in the new ones. And unfortunately, there's not quite enough room for the system I wanted to do. I wanted to have the chest in the middle, so there would need to be a three block gap, but there isn't quite enough of a gap for that. So I mess around a bit thinking about like loading them from the front, but in the end I decide to forget that, and I'm just going to stick them next to each other. One's going to be the main one, so the chest is going to feed into it, and the other one's going to be the backup, so I'm just going to fill it up with a stack, and then it'll be on less often than the other one, I imagine, because we don't need the full production of both. But anyway, once I have all that set up and all the alien artifacts in place, it is time to end. So I just have a quick check, make sure that they are producing them nicely, and there they go, filling up the belt. Hopefully that should be enough. We'll have to see next episode. So I shall say goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.